Good afternoon, everybody. It's Esme and Wild at Heart again, and figured it was time for an update video. Sedona wants to get in on the act. So far, nothing, absolutely nothing, has gone the way I imagined or the way I planned. And pardon the parrot because he just wants to be a pain in the butt right now. Sedona, stop it. Stop. Quiet. I started out from Derby, Vermont, 7 days ago, almost 8 days ago. Normally, the drive cross country from Vermont to Arizona takes me 3.5 days. So if I leave on a Sunday, I arrive by Wednesday morning. This was supposed to be camping all the way along the road in the roof nest. Thus far, I have spent 3 nights in the roof nest, and this will be night 5 in a hotel or motel. First motel stop was horrendous beyond belief. Like, if everyone and everything in my little party here doesn't end up with bed bugs or some other kind of horrific thing, it will be amazing. I don't even know where to begin. It started going south for us when I started experiencing car troubles. And I had experienced this same event a year ago on my way to Cape Cod. Was told that the issue was fixed when in reality it was not. They ignored the code that showed up and just did a computer module update and sent me on my way. Thankfully, that kept the issue mostly at bay for about a year. But then with the high mileage and overland travel, it cropped up again and cropped up big time. And I'm not even sure if I posted in another video or not what the car was actually doing. The car would shudder all over. And then start bucking, and the check engine light would come on, and then it would I'm so exhausted and so emotionally drained I can't even form a cohesive thought right now. It would check engine light would come on, and it would threaten to stall out in the worst possible times, in the middle of interstate highways, when I was surrounded on all 4 sides by semis who are always in a big hurry to go someplace, and I get that. It didn't seem to be getting any better, so I had to make the decision to get a hotel and find a Mitsubishi dealership. And the first dealership did absolutely nothing. They did not find the code, and I've been on the phone all day and at another dealership today and have been told multiple times that's impossible. It is the only code and the first code that shows up when you hook up a computer. So the first dealership that I went to completely ignored the code, and rather than addressing the issue and the work that needed to be done, which was warranty work, they opted to offer me a transmission service, which they said my car was due for right about the mileage that it was at. So I let them go ahead and do it, and then I found out today that my car has bumper to bumper warranty for the first 3 years, and it goes down to this and that for the next 4 years, and then finally full 10-year drivetrain. And so that should have been a warranty service, and instead I was charged $195 for it and sent on my way and told that everything would be okay. And it was okay for about 200 miles, and the problem resurfaced again. That, in addition to driving through the beginning of one tornado, which was later confirmed when I checked the weather. It was a small tornado, F1, but a tornado nonetheless. And I drove through the very beginning of it and made it out and was grateful. And I was able to go probably another 150 miles or so, and the problem continued. Again, not just a matter of the engine and the transmission shuddering, but threatening to stall out. in the middle of interstate highways, in the middle of long, lonely desert roads. So here I am again. I cannot pull over. I ended up having to drive 13 hours that day just to get off the road. Um, I found another Mitsubishi dealership, and I was told that it needed this module updated and that module updated, and that the only code that came up was number 2 cylinder. And, you know, I'm smart enough to know, okay, well, there's something that needs to be fixed. They did some computer updates and said, there, you should be okay. The service tech told me that the code for the number 2 cylinder is still coming up. I'm going to go take it for a test drive and see if that shuts it off. I'm like, wait a minute, motherfucker. I'm from rural Vermont, and for years we did things like just get the check engine light shut off so I can go get it inspected, and don't worry about it. And that's what that sounded like to me. I'm going to go take it for a short test drive. Sure enough, he brought it back and said, okay, well, that's not showing up anymore. Okay. You should be fine. Shouldn't have any more problems. Okay. So I left there, and they wrote that off as warranty work, which I was grateful for. And I actually managed to drive 500 miles and make it from Wichita, Kansas to Las Vegas, New Mexico, which I never knew existed before. Duh. I was like 2 days years old when I realized that there was a Las Vegas, New Mexico. Beautiful little town. And here we are back again. And every time it resurfaced, it was worse than before. And now I'm in a situation where I start Googling Mitsubishi dealerships, and the closest one to where I was going, which, my final destination was Sedona, Arizona, was in Phoenix. And I am still 358 miles from Phoenix. And I'm not going to get into all the details. The same thing just kept happening, except with greater and greater frequency. I literally almost died twice yesterday. And somehow through that all, I managed not to break down, not to cry, just to reach out to my guides and my ancestors, my compassion helping spirits and power animals, and ask for assistance. And miraculously, the car kept going. The first time that I thought, okay, this is it, I was on I-40 and surrounded by trucks on all sides. And of course, they're all doing 75 or better, which is the speed limit. And I'm just kind of tucking along there at 60, 62, trying not to put any additional stress on the engine or the drivetrain. And it starts bucking like crazy. And the check engine light is flashing, bam, 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 on and off, on and off. And I thought, it's actually going to stall out this time, like right here in the middle of the road. And I look in my rear view mirror, and here comes a great big old Peterbilt semi bearing down on me, probably still doing 60 miles an hour, and my car is about to stall. And he can't move over because there's a solid line of, and I thought, this is it. This is it. Even if the crash doesn't kill us, I have 2 5-pound things of propane in the back. This is going to be a fiery mess. I had time to think all of that. And somehow the car kept going, and I was able to get off the road over into the breakdown lane, and I just shut it down for a while. The second time was, before even the second time happened, I'm nursing it along, figuring out along the way what helps it, what makes it worse, applying everything I know, in constant communication with my my dear friend and my mechanic back in Vermont. And he diagnosed exactly what the problem was, from thousands of miles away. And he was like, I cannot believe that they didn't change the coil packs. Anyway, I keep trucking along. We had another very scary, I realized now I got off in order to, cut cross country to go to Phoenix as quickly as possible. I am on a fairly deserted desert road. And the car is just, I can't drive more than 2 or 3 miles without having to pull over, let it cool down a little bit, and then get started again. I let the dogs out to go to the bathroom and give them a little bit of water. And Bella, somehow, we were down to our last gallon of water. And I am in the desert, and it is now desert enough and southwest enough to be quite warm. And Bella somehow managed to knock over the gallon jug of water and spill almost all of our remaining water. So I'm like, okay, so now here we are, and we're stuck out in the desert, and I have no idea what's going to happen, except now I know that we're out of water. Does that sound like a good plan to anybody? To be stranded in the desert without water? And another friend of mine is like, Esme, you have water. You have water, right? You have plenty of water. She's actually the one who gave me the 3 gallons of water that I've been traveling with. Anyway, I'm like, here we are. Here we are. You know, what can we do? Nothing. I have no choices here. I have to press on. I have to somehow go on. And again, I am imploring all of my helping spirits, the deities that I work with, calling upon them, invoking them, asking, if nothing else, to just let me feel their nearness so that I know that I'm not alone. Thanks to a couple of really good friends that have been in constant communication, the 2 that I mentioned before, I knew that I wasn't alone. Our shamanic healing circle was sending healing energy for my heart, for the car. I knew that I wasn't alone, but I felt alone. And I will tell you, it gave me a lot of time to think about what really matters. And I might have said this in other videos, you know, no matter how bad everything got, I took stock and was like, I am still alive. I haven't died yet. Bella is fine. Casper is fine. Sedona is fine. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters. I passed some horrific accidents. One especially, I know, had no survivors. I'm not even going to describe it as it was so horrific, on Interstate 40. And I thought, no matter what is going on, I'm a little bit emotional today. I finally, quiet Sedona, reached my capacity for being able to process everything that I've been feeling. All I can say is I kept nursing it along and nursing it along as best I could. Just when things looked hopeless, there would be some kind of miracle, I don't know what else to call it, in the landscape that allowed me to put the car in neutral and coast downhill for long periods of time, not have to use the drivetrain at all. That seemed to help a little bit. And I'm inching my way closer and closer to Phoenix, and did finally make it to the outskirts, the outskirts of Phoenix. I had already called to, that's a story all in itself. I double checked again where the closest Mitsubishi dealership was, and so I set my location for that, and then Google comes on and says, Bell Road Mitsubishi may be closed by the time you get there. And I was like, they're open on a Sunday? And I pulled over to the side of the road and I called them. Well, the service department was closed, but there was a salesman working. I talked to him, told him what was going on, and he said, tell me about the check engine light. Is it on solid now? I said, at the moment it is solid. But every time there's an incident and it starts bucking and trying to stall out, then it flashes. And he said, what color is it flashing? And I said, yellow or orange or whatever it is. And he said, not red though. And I said, no. And he said, if it starts to flash red, you need to pull over the moment you can and shut the car down, because that is the computer's way of telling you I'm dead. And he said, good possibility it'll never start again. I was like, okay, so at least that hasn't happened yet. Nursing it along, getting worse and worse by the moment. I'm beginning to think, even though I'm only like 20 miles away, I've made it 300 and something miles, and now 20 minutes away from Phoenix, I'm not going to make it. This can't be. This cannot happen. And so I stubbornly pushed on and pushed on. Well, for those of you who have tried to navigate through and around Phoenix to get beyond this, to go to Flagstaff or Sedona or any of those places, you know that trying to get on 10 West or East is like a total clusterfuck. Like there's 4 or 5 lanes of traffic. Everybody is doing 65, 70 miles an hour. And there's an area where you go, it's not really a tunnel. It's more like a large, overhead bridge Um, and so I'm in there, and I'm just praying for all I'm worth to anybody and everybody who's listening. And all of a sudden it starts and it's bucking so bad that I'm positive that it's going to stall out. And I look around me in all my mirrors, and I thought, if this car stalls right now, I don't even know how many cars I'm going to get hit by. And then all of a sudden I look down at the dashboard, and I'll be a son of a bitch if that damn check engine light didn't flash red. And I was like, this is it. I don't know. Whatever. What can you do? I somehow managed to, with probably a lot of divine help from all of the beings that I've been calling on all day, managed to get out of that tunnel, and now once again, heading down a slight incline. So yes, I'm going way too slow for the traffic flow, but at least I can put the engine in neutral. Anyway, long story short, I made it. I made it to yet another hotel that I never planned on staying in. I checked in. I got up early this morning. I got up at 6 o'clock this morning because I was told the service department would open at 7. And so I won't even go into all that. Fed the dogs, took care of them, tried to do something to make myself look human. Thank you, Sedona. Sedona says I didn't succeed. Anyway, I drove over there, and true to his word, the young salesman had left a note for the service department that I was going to be coming in. And so I met with one of the service advisors or service managers, and I explained the situation, and he was like, those codes, like that's a big deal. Mitsubishi sends them out on a regular basis until every car that is your year, your make, and your model has been, fixed. And he was furious that the last 2 dealerships that I had been to, 3, including the one in Cape Cod last year, did not address those codes. And he said the way the service advice memo comes out is, if one of the coil packs has gone bad, all 4 of them need to be changed. They need to be replaced. So again, trying to make long stories a little shorter, probably already too late. He pushed aside another appointment to get me right in, and sure enough, that is the first and only code, once again, that came up. Was the cylinder 2, and the coil pack was gone, and all 4 of them needed to be replaced. They had them in stock. They did that work and went above and beyond. They did several other things for free just because, like they did an oil change, because my oil change would have been due by the time I got halfway back to Vermont. He said, we're just going to throw that in there. They changed transfer case fluids. They changed all of my onboard filters, the cabin filter, the air conditioning filter, the transfer case filter, and most of it was written off as warranty work. And the service tech, once the service advisor had walked away, said, if I were you, I would call Mitsubishi and file a claim. File a claim. You could have been killed because of this, and your problem was overlooked by not 1, not 2, but 3 authorized dealerships who provide service. He said, I would open a claim if I were you. So before I left the hotel this morning, I booked another day because I didn't know if I was going to have a car to leave with. I didn't know if, I didn't know. Are you going to have to pull the engine? Is the transmission going to? I had no idea. And so I was like, there's no point in my planning on getting back on the road today because I have no idea what's going on with the car. So I went ahead and booked the same room that I'm in for tonight as well. And they did all the work needed on my car. They replaced all 4 of the coil packs. And wow, this is getting long. I'm sorry. Replaced all 4 of the coil packs and did all of that other additional work. They gave me an in-house coupon to help cover, give me a break financially on the things that were not covered by warranty. And I left there with the very good advice to open a case with Mitsubishi. And he said, it's going to be a pain in the ass. I'm going to warn you. He said, other people have done it, and once you call corporate, you usually end up on hold forever and ever, and then sometimes they'll say, we're sorry, give us your number, we'll call you back. And I'm like, that's all right. I'm at the hotel for a whole nother day. I have nothing but time. So that wasn't my experience at all. I waited around a little bit. I'm exhausted. I'm emotionally and physically exhausted. Every muscle group in my body is sore from driving, like basically in flight or fight or flight mode for hours and hours and hours and hundreds of miles. My shoulders and my neck are killing me. Ouch, ouch. Both of my biceps are sore from not only holding onto the steering wheel for all those hours, but holding with my whole body tensed up, waiting for the next incident to happen. Anyway, I waited around a little, walked the dogs when I got back. Of course, they were with me at the dealership for the whole couple hours that we were there. They've been so wonderful, especially, even little Casper. This is his first trip, and he's just like an old pro. We walk into a hotel room, oh, this is what we're doing now? As soon as I open the car door, he literally tries to jump into his crate on the back seat. Bella, of course, knows exactly where she's supposed to go and what she's supposed to do, but they have been amazing. So thankful that they're here with me, although yesterday when it looked like things were going to go really, really wrong, I felt really bad that they were with me. I felt like, I don't have the right to make you guys suffer and possibly even not be here anymore because I have to chase my dreams. So yes, Sedona, you too, honey. I felt really bad about that. Anyway, the car work was all done. I came home. I thought about it for a while, and I called Mitsubishi. And much to my surprise, I got a customer service rep immediately. Like as soon as the phone rang, I went through the number selection, selected the correct number, and a wonderful, caring, compassionate, kind man answered the phone and spent almost an hour on the phone with me, taking down every single detail of the story. And he said, I am just here to collect the narrative. He said, I am a tier 1 customer service rep. He said, I am going to have to escalate this to tier 2, and they will call you within the next 48 hours. And he said, I'm recommending reimbursement for any out-of-pocket expenses that you've incurred for work at the other dealerships that should never have been done, especially since they didn't even address the actual problem. And he said, because your car is still under full warranty, Mitsubishi also provides a service called trip interruption. I'm going to recommend that you are reimbursed $175 a day for trip interruption for 5 days. And I'm also going to recommend that you be reimbursed for any food and beverage costs that you incurred while having to eat, due to these delays. He was so compassionate and so encouraging. He was like, you're amazing. You're like one of the most resilient people I've ever talked to. And for the second time, like when I was at the dealership today, I broke down. All of those pent-up emotions finally came pouring out, and I was really embarrassed. But the guy you could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable, but he was very compassionate. And the same thing with this man on the phone. He said, you have every right to be emotional, like what you've been through this past week, and you're still trying to be pleasant and polite and not swearing at anybody. And I said, what good is that going to do me? Not that I don't love swearing, because y'all know that I do, but... So anyway, this is where I'm at. I am in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm at my second La Quinta Inn and Suites, and accommodations are lovely. I've taken the dogs for lots of walks, and even though my car was done and ready to get back on the road by 11 o'clock this morning, I couldn't do it. I needed a day out of the car. I have, can you see that? I actually have an abrasion on my neck from the seatbelt rubbing. Cut it out. it's been a lot. It's been a lot. Not at all the journey that I had planned, but I have learned, and I know that I've said this in other videos that I've made, I have learned so much about my own resilience and my own newly found ability to ask for help when I really need it. And gratitude. Gratitude. So much gratitude. Not bitterness for everything that went wrong. Gratitude for the fact that it didn't go as wrong as it possibly could have. And that along the way I've seen beautiful sights and met incredible people. And that's why it's been my journey within and without. I've learned a lot about myself and my capacity to be strong and to heal. And there's definitely some trauma associated with the things that have happened the past week, but I know that I will be okay. I just need to give myself time to process and sit with my feelings. Tomorrow I will finally be in Sedona. And the last thing I asked the master service tech, which I also appreciated, that they have 2 master service techs at this dealership, Bell Road, Mitsubishi. Wonderful place. Now I lost my train of thought. Oh, I asked him, I said, so if I was your wife, your sister, or your mother, would you be confident putting me back on the road, knowing that I still have another, 100 or so miles to go to get to Sedona, and 2,600 miles to get back home? He said, absolutely. Absolutely. He said that's what needed to be done all along, and now it's fixed. He said it's going to be like driving out of here with a brand new car. All of your fluids are brand new. They even rotated my tires because he checked the tires and realized there was uneven wear between one of the front tires and one of the back tires, so they rotated them. So here I am, and next time you hear from me, I will most likely be in Sedona, and it's been a journey within and without. Not the one I planned, not the one I dreamed about, not the one that I manifested, but the one I needed. I am convinced of that the benevolent, loving universe always gives us what we need. So I'm going to have to take some time to unpack why the hell I needed this, but eventually I will. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for coming along, and thank you for encouraging me along the way as I posted videos and letting me know you're all out there. I really appreciate you. See you in Sedona.